Fiscal discipline. I want you to respond to something Bob Corker said. He said this Congress and this administration likely will go down as one of the most fiscally irresponsible administrations and Congresses that we ever had. And he's referring to the fact that this tax bill spiked the deficit. It's higher than even what was projected. And as we're at $1 trillion. You walk away with $1 trillion deficits as far as the eye can see.
That was going to happen. The baby boomers retiring was going to do that. These deficit $1 trillion projections have been out there for a long, long time. Why? Because of mandatory spending, which we call entitlements. Discretionary spending under the CBO baseline is going up about $300 billion over the next 10 years. Tax revenues are still rising. Income tax revenues are still rising. Corporate income tax revenues, corporate rate got dropped 40%, still rising. Mandatory spending, which is entitlements, that grows $2 trillion over the next decade. Why does it grow $2 trillion? Because the boomer generation is retiring and we have not prepared these programs. So really, that's where the rubber hits the road. And I think the most irresponsible Congress is the one that created a brand new entitlement. That, to me, is the big mistake. And we can fix these programs and still meet the mission for them, but the way they've been designed in the 20th century doesn't work. That's the one thing that I really wish we could get done sooner rather than later, and I'm convinced it's going to happen. Why? Because it's got to happen.
All right, but one of the most backward things that Congress does is you know the amount of money you have to spend, and but you don't decide that first. You decide the tax cut first, and then you find out, oh, we have all this money to spend. All right, let's just do debt and just spend it. You realize that is a backward way of doing anything. Yes, this is Washington.
No, but I think you make a good point. I think the budget process we have is fundamentally broken. I think it's irreparably broken, and that is why...
Irreparably?
Yeah, I think the budget process...
I mean, that's irreparably broken means you can't give up.
The current discretionary system we have, the current spending system we have, it's not repairable. You have to redo the system. So in the budget deal we did this year, we created a new joint select committee between the House and the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, to redesign the federal budget system. I've always passionately believed the budget system here is a broken system, and you have to redo the system. You can't just paper it over. This is why we have a committee now between the House and the Senate, which is going to bring to Congress a new budget system. That is what we have to do if we want to get this under control. The House passes all of its bills. The House passed a budget to balance the budget last year. The House passed all of its appropriation bills. The Senate didn't do that because of the filibuster.
Still ended up doing an omnibus, which a guy like Thomas Massie says, you know what, you promised regular order, we didn't get regular order. What did you say to him?
We passed all these bills out of the House, and the Senate didn't pass a single appropriations bill, which means you end up with an omnibus. It's another piece of evidence that the budget process is broken.
And I keep going to come back to this, but I'm going to do something. Tim Alberto wrote this. When historians ask the obvious questions, how did the party of fiscal sanity become the party of the biggest spending increase in modern history? How did the party of family values become the party of grab them by the expletive deleted? How did the party of compassionate conservatism become the party of Muslim bans? The answers will implicate not just Trump, but Ryan and other Republicans as well. The enabling, this whole idea of the enabling criticism.
So what do we do? We have empowerment zones in law for the first time since the idea was launched. And by the way, we have more to do this year. That's one of the reasons I'm excited about our agenda. We're going to focus on career and technical education. We're going to focus on getting people from welfare into jobs. And we can do this when we have a strong growing economy, and that's a darn good legacy.